Let's talk about dressing professionally. This is one of the key things that you're going to do, especially as you get out onto the market. So whether you're going out for an interview or you're doing a tour on a property somewhere, or we just have guest speakers on campus, it's really important for you to understand how to dress professionally and to start looking into that opportunity now. Of course, if you don't have the means to buy anything for professional dress right away, please feel free to visit the Blue Raider Closet, which has donated clothes that you can have for free to take home to use as often as you can. I also recommend looking at secondhand stores. All sorts of people donate their used business clothes to places like Goodwill. And of course, if you have the means to, I do recommend going out and buying a suit right away or purchasing for yourself some professional clothes because you're going to need them sooner than you think. And so this is a really good opportunity to start investing in yourself now. So let's talk a little bit about why it's so important to dress professionally. First thing here is that your clothes and your appearance and the way you groom yourself are the very first impression someone's going to have of you. And this is a key and important aspect of the determination they're going to make about whether or not you are capable of performing a certain task simply by your appearance. Study after study shows that within the first 10 seconds of meeting you, people have formed a very strong opinion about your abilities. So if you are dressed for the part, you're more likely to get the part than if you're not dressed. So it's super important for your success in order for you to dress professionally. You also represent not only yourself, but also our program and the school. So by you dressing professionally, especially when we have guests come to campus, you're representing what our MTSU students have to offer not only now, but in the future, and you are showing a good example of what we have to offer. It also is going to show how serious you are. Are you really serious about this job interview? Are you really serious about the person taking their time to come to your classroom? Are you serious about the time that they're giving you for a tour? Are you serious about meeting them and networking with them and forming a relationship with them? If you don't put in the time to dress professionally, then they don't take you seriously because they don't feel like you are taking them seriously. So again, it's a reflection of your goodwill and your intent about what you want to accomplish. It's also showing that you're respectful of the time that they're giving. That goes hand in hand with how serious you are. Also, it shows an understanding of their corporate culture. So there are going to be certain jobs and internships where it's a much more relaxed environment and potentially you could do a more business casual attire, but in general, it's better to always dress up and dress up for success. So the important thing is to do some research ahead of time, look at their corporate culture, look at what pictures they have online, look at how people are standardized in dress. But even then, the corporate culture might be once you get there, you don't have to dress as formally. However, they do expect you to dress formally for interviews and also for meeting them in places like campus. It's also a statement of your personal professionalism and your readiness and willingness to work. So dressing for success, dressing professionally is a very, very important topic. It's so important that we're going to incorporate it throughout your time at MTSU because we really want you to understand just how important it is to present yourself in a professional manner. So let's look at some of the details. So first, let's look at some things not to do. So it's not enough to just have the clothes. You also have to make sure the clothes look good. So what does that mean? If you are getting hand-me-downs, make sure the hand-me-downs have all their buttons. It's actually relatively simple to sew a new button on, so make sure you're looking at all your clothes. Are there any pulls or tears? Are there any rips? Are there cottons that are hanging loose? A lot of shirts over time will start to lint or pill. You want to make sure that you are discarding those or at least not using them for formal settings. Pet hair. Invest in one of those pet hair rollers, or better yet, only dress once you get to the location that you're supposed to be dressing. If you have a lot of pets at home and inevitably you get pet hair over everything you have, you want to make sure you avoid that at all costs. So nails, actually a really important thing. So I am actually not representing what we should be doing. I have some chip nail polish, but if you're going for a formal interview, if you know you're meeting someone, you're doing a tour, you want to make sure that you have professional nails. So if you're like me and I just did it and I'm sitting at home, I'm not really going out right now. So this is during coronavirus, I can't really go out, so I don't really worry about it and I'm going to repaint my nails. However, if I were going out for a formal presentation, I would either want to completely strip this off so that it was clear cut, clean nails, or I want to have polish. For the men, that goes too. You really need to make sure that you have clipped your nails because first thing you do is you give a handshake, right? So they're going to be seeing your hand and they're going to see how cleanly you are through the way you keep your nails. Scuffed and old shoes. People do look at your shoes. They're going to look at your entire clothes and wardrobe and the entire image you make, not just the top, they're going to look at the bottom too. So make sure you have those nice shoes ready to go. So don't wear your best shoes or your most formal shoes for everyday occasions. Make sure you save them so that when you really need them for formal settings. The other thing is moderation is key. So don't wear a lot of loud jewelry, don't wear a lot of bulky things, not a lot of makeup. And then this also goes for smells. If you use too much perfume or cologne, it feels like you're covering something up, and it can be really overwhelming and overpowering. And that's the memory they're going to have of you are the person who wears too much perfume or cologne. So that's not an image you want to give them. So these are some don'ts. For some do's, personal hygiene. Super, super, super important. I'd say it's equally as important as the clothes you're wearing is that you have good hygiene. So what do I mean by good hygiene? You need to take a shower. You need to take a shower every day. You need to use deodorant. You need to clean your face. So if you struggle with something like acne, you want to make sure you're keeping your face as clean as possible and then potentially trying to cover that up. I know that seems really vain. However, people really do form their first opinion by your appearance. And so it's really important that you keep as good a first appearance as possible. I mean, we can only do so much with what we have with our body, but one of the things we can do is have good personal hygiene. Make sure you have a standard haircut that's a little more modest, clean, and styled, as well as more conservative hair. In general, more conservative is better, and you can always express yourself over time. Of course, there are exceptions. So, for example, the Hard Rock Hotel really emphasizes the individuality of its employees. And so they like them having spiked hair and colorful hair and lots of piercings and showing tattoos. But most establishments are looking for something a little more traditional, a little more clean cut, a little less abrasive. And it just really depends on what fits you best. Now, it's also, if you can look over time, maybe some of the standards have changed. It used to be that men really couldn't have any facial hair, and now that's changing a little bit, but it still needs to be clean and trimmed and orderly. So you can still have that individuality, but when it comes to interviews, when it comes to meeting people, you want to be as clean cut as possible. Oral hygiene. Make sure you're brushing your teeth, you're flossing. If you've eaten something with really strong flavors before you were supposed to meet someone, make sure that you are brushing your teeth. I recommend, there's like these little throwaway toothbrushes. They're like this big and they have like a little pick at the end, and the little toothpaste is inside, and you can just quickly brush really fast before you meet people. I really recommend having those in your bag at all times, so that way after a lunch or after something where maybe you have a lot of flavor in your mouth, you can rinse that out before you meet people, because the odor from your mouth can also be really off-putting. So make sure you have really good personal hygiene. Shower, deodorant, washing your hair, making sure you style it. Subtlety is key. I'm going to be the last person to tell you you have to wear makeup, because I don't wear makeup. I don't like makeup. I don't enjoy it. However, like I said, if you have some blemishes or something that really stands out, it doesn't hurt to wear some, and that goes for guys too. I mean, there are men that wear makeup. So if you are going to wear makeup though, you want to make it as subtle as possible. You really don't want a lot of makeup. So for women, don't have a lot of bright colors around your eyes, a lot of cheek or rouge. You don't really need any of that. Same thing goes with jewelry. For men and women, make sure it's really modest. It's not overly flashy. You can see a picture here. I mean, this necklace looks really nice. In fact, her entire outfit looks really nice. It's just not business professional. So you want to make sure you're going with something a little simpler and subtler. Piercings, in general, you don't want to have a lot of extra piercings showing. If you do have a nose or lip rings or something like that, it's probably better to take them out, at least for the initial interview or initial meeting. However, it's something you can't take out. At least go with a subtler piercing showing. Same thing with tattoos. You really want to cover them up as much as possible. Tattoos are great. I have a tattoo, but I wouldn't go around exposing it at interviews in general, because a lot of companies prefer a little more clean cut. And then make sure your clothes are in good condition. Going back to those don'ts. So if you do have clothes, make sure you're ironing them, make sure you're getting them laundered, make sure they're clean. If you have spills on them, pick something that doesn't have a spill on it. Anything with stains, go with something else. So if you've had a shirt for a long time and you're starting to see armpit stains, don't wear that shirt. Inevitably, that's just something you have to worry about. For men, if you know you sweat a lot, especially if it's summertime, make sure you're wearing an undershirt so that you can capture up some of that sweat as well. Okay, some general advice that I want to give you when it comes to the clothes that you're going to wear, and maybe you're a little resistant to some of the things I'm saying now. I have hired quite a few different people. I have been in the position to be able to interview and employ people, and I'm telling you that these things really do matter. They really are often a reflection of the quality and caliber of the potential candidate coming in. And that first impressions typically stand throughout the entire interview because they are a good way of really categorizing the kind of candidates coming in. Someone who comes in and spends a lot of time and effort on their appearance and dress is probably going to do the same when they become an employee for you. Look at it this way. If at an interview you are not willing to put your best foot forward, what would possibly be indicative that you would do any better once you actually got to the job? Typically, when you go in for an interview, that's the best you're possibly ever going to be. And so that's why it's so important to make sure you're dressing very professionally. In general, it is better to be slightly overdressed than it is to be underdressed. So keep that in mind. And the other really big thing is dress for the job you want, not the job you have. That's why you're not wearing things like jeans. That's why you're making sure you're looking at your business professional attire. That's why you're investing your time and money now getting those clothes so that when that interview's there, you're ready to go, whether that's in the next hour, the next day, or the next week. You don't have to scramble. You already have your clothes and you're ready to go. So let's look at business formal attire. So we're going to look at two different kinds of attire, business formal and business casual. So the first thing is I just want to show, I love this infographic. It's just showing some men and women business formal. You'll notice one of the big differences was really the tie, but in general, both of them require wearing a suit, a matching suit, and also wearing dress shoes, having a clean tailored look. Both of them look very nice, clean tailored, neutral colors. Very simple. Okay, this is business formal. You're not really meant to stand out when you're wearing business formal. You're supposed to be kind of in a uniform of sorts to keep it into what we're looking for as far as the normal business settings. So let's first look at men. So for formal professional business attire for men, the first thing is that you need to have a suit. The suit should be fitted. That means that you don't really want it to be overly bulky and big. So don't go find Big Al, your uncle's suit and say, hey, I'm going to put this on and who cares if it's too big? At least I'm wearing a suit. It really doesn't work that way. In fact, it looks worse than if potentially you had good business casual attire and you didn't have business formal. That would be a better alternative than to wear something that didn't fit you right. So make sure you're getting a suit that fits you. You want a matching suit and neutral colors. So your neutral colors tend to be black, navy, brown, gray, tan, but be very careful about the tan. Tan tends to show a lot more different stains and things. So one of the reasons to stick with some of the more neutral colors is you can also interchange without looking like you're wearing the same thing every single time you meet someone. So slacks that are fit, jackets that fit, neutral colors for the business suit. The shirt underneath should be a button-up. Typically under a jacket you can't really tell, but it's going to be a long sleeve shirt. That's kind of the standard. You can add a little more pop of color with the button-up shirt that you do, but you still don't necessarily want it to be overwhelming. I have seen people look really great. Some men I've seen where they wear these bright pink fuchsia colored shirts. Very nice, but then they wear really subtle tie, and so they kind of try to tone it down a little bit. You can have fun with that. Just make sure you feel comfortable with what you're wearing and that it matches your personality. If you're unsure, a neutral shirt is always best. You have to wear a belt. Okay, even if the pants fit right, you really need to be wearing a belt and a tie, and the tie should match the shirt. Your dress shoes tend to be leather. The lace-ups are much better than the loafers. However, if you don't have lace-up, loafers can be okay as long as they're not scuffed up. They look new and they look nice. And in general, no white socks. Please wear dark socks. Another way people add a splash of color is maybe they'll wear a colorful sock. But again, you have to be very stylish and know what you want for that. If you want to get some better, or not necessarily better, but some other tips or just see some more visuals, I really recommend GQ. GQ does a really great job of showing what business professional attire looks like, and it's given from the voice of men to men. So just some other information about those button-up shirts. You want to make sure it's laundered and ironed. Long sleeves is best. Make sure it's a tailored fit. Again, that it's a shirt that fits you and not one that is too big or too small. There should be no straining of the shirt. The buttons should never pull apart at any point. They should all fit very evenly and linely across the center of your chest. In general, you want a solid or maybe a pinstriped, like you see here is the pinstriped button-up shirt. You don't want something that's too patterned, has too many patterns in it. It can be a little overwhelming and a little distracting. Okay, here's just another picture of some do's and don'ts. You'll notice in this they're saying really stay away from earrings, that they have different connotations and different meanings. But again, if that's something really important to you, it's okay to wear an earring. Just make sure it's really subtle. Looking at conservative colors, conservative looking styles, make sure it's form-fitted. It's a matching suit with dark socks and shoes. Don't roll up your pants. Just some information here that you can look at in the do's and don'ts. So now let's look at women's business formal attire. And so the first thing is, what does that look like? It actually looks very similar to what men wear in the sense that you should also be wearing a suit. So in this suit, you're going to have slacks or a skirt. You can have either one, and a matching jacket or blazer. Again, you're still going to want to wear neutral colors. That's your navy, gray, black, and brown. You can wear tans and whites, although I'd highly, highly recommend against that. It's really easy to show stains and colors in tans and whites, and it's much easier to mix and match a more dark neutral colored suit. So if you only have one or two suits and you have to wear it over multiple days, it's much easier to switch out the tops and not look like you're wearing the same suit every day than if you're wearing a tan or a white suit. The top, the best is also to do a button-up shirt. However, sometimes that can be challenging for women. If you have a larger bust where it's harder to find something that form fits but also fits your bust, and you might get some pulling of the buttons, which you don't want, it might be easier to find a more formal blouse. So that blouse, again, should look very professional. You don't want it to be overly patterned. You still want it relatively neutral. It can have a pop of color, but solids, maybe some pinstripes would look good for that. You can also wear a conservative dress. If you wear a conservative dress, you would still wear a jacket or blazer over top, and then dress shoes. You can wear flats, pumps, or heels, just whatever you're most comfortable in. Again, they should look new, they should look clean, and they should look sharp. So it's really important to make sure you're aware of the clothes that you're wearing as well. For skirts and dresses, very, very important. They need to be a minimum of knee length. And you should always do a sit test. That means that when you sit down, if the skirt pulls up even more than 2 inches above the knee, it is too short. You definitely don't want to show too much leg. It really is distracting away from what you should be doing, and is not the image you want to give. You really want to be taken seriously, and this is just a fact of life, that you're more likely to be taken seriously if they're not considering anything else except the job that you're performing. So I actually really love this infographic. Sometimes a skirt seems like it's long enough, but then when you sit, it isn't. You also don't want the skirt to be too tight. Pencil skirts tend to be a really great business look. Just make sure it fits you right and that it's not too tight in any places. For the tops, this is for tops of dresses. Make sure there's no skin showing below the collarbone. So the shirt I'm wearing right now, you'll notice it goes right at the collarbone. This is your collarbone. And this is as low as you want it. So you really don't want to have any scoop necks. You don't want to have any V-necks. You really don't want to expose any part of the center of the chest. And you also want to have covered shoulders. In general, when we look at tops, this goes for that as well. The longer the sleeves, the more formal it is. So I love this picture. I love her top. It has this bright splash of color. It's really nice. Has a little bit of texture to it. It fits her very well. There's no pulling of the buttons. It is a tailored fit. Has the long sleeves, so it's a very formal top. She can add a jacket on this and she's ready to go. So you don't want anything sleeveless. Even if it's under a jacket, make sure you don't have any sleeveless tops. So no tank tops, camisoles, tube tops, strapless tops, spaghetti strap tops. Make sure it's not too revealing. Fit matters, as well as not too tight. So you don't want something really tight and, again, pulling or showing any of the curves that you really don't want to emphasize. You can have it be form-fitting and feminine, but not necessarily showy and exposing. Okay, and some extra tips for women. So in general, as you're an adult now looking for adult jobs, please do not shop in the juniors department. I know it's really tempting. It's something that maybe you're more comfortable with because you did it more recently, but none of your business clothes should come from the juniors section. You're past that as you're going into the adult world. You need to be shopping for adults' clothes. So that's the first tip. The second part of that is make sure you shop at stores where you can maybe get some sales help. So department stores will give you help, as well as some of the standalones. So some of my personal favorites are White House Black Market. There's the picture here. You'll see one of the boutiques there. Loft is really good, and Taylor, some of these. And you can get good deals. So if you buy it full price, of course, it's really expensive. But what I love to do is I love to go to White House Black Market and look for the deals. And I get great clothes for under $20 oftentimes. The pants, typically I'm going to have to buy more at full price because they tend to stay in style. A nice pair of black slacks and black jackets stay in style forever, and so it's much harder to find the deals, but especially with the tops, even sometimes with the more special jackets, you're going to get really good deals with dresses as well. So if you go in there and you build a relationship and you meet someone who dresses maybe a way that you like, they're going to be able to help you not only with selecting good business attire, but getting the right fit, make sure it's the right size, and helping you with accessories. They will give you real and good advice if they are a good salesperson. So I recommend spending some time and finding a good boutique that's going to give you the information that you need to help you in order to have the best business clothes possible, and so that you feel comfortable with the money that you're spending and investing in yourself. So now let's talk about business casual clothes. So business casual is a little bit more of a widespread. It makes it a little more difficult. Business formal is pretty standard. You're wearing a suit, whether you're male or female, you're wearing a suit with slight variation. But business casual, there seems to be this pretty big spread. So let's really define how we should see business casual at this point in time. So I love this infographic you see here. These look really great. These are great images. You see they're very mirrored in a lot of ways. They're both wearing slacks. They're both wearing blazers or sport jackets. We have a button-up shirt for the men. We have a nice blouse for the females. They're both still wearing their dress shoes. They look very nice. They look very professional, but not necessarily as formal. Now, if you'll also notice, for business casual, men do need to tuck in their shirt, and they should be wearing a belt. Regardless of whether or not you're doing the formal or business casual, men need to have that tucked in shirt, polo or button-up. So for business casual for men, for the tops, you can wear up that button-up shirt. You can, in here you see the rolled up sleeves. That's a little more okay when we look at the casual settings as opposed to formal. You would have to have it rolled down. You can do a polo style collar shirt is really common. They tend to be short sleeve. So again, you're going to start to see shorter sleeves. The same with the Oxford style shirt, but you just make sure you tuck it in and you have that belt. So you see both of these men are wearing belts. They're wearing very nicely form-fitted pants that go with the style that they're looking. You could still wear a tie. Instead of doing tie, you could do the blazer like we see in this picture. You can just start to take off some of the pieces and add others. They're still wearing their dress shoes and absolutely no jeans and no denim. So make sure you're staying away from that. For women, it's pretty similar. We're going to have those button-up shirts as well, the polo style, the Oxford style, or you could wear a formal blouse. You could also wear a dress where maybe the dress you no longer need the jacket over, which is what you would need for formal. Instead, you could just concentrate on the dress. So in the center of this infographic here, you'll notice that in neither of those pictures are the women wearing jackets, but they're wearing very nice dress and a very nice dress suit compared to the business formal where they're both wearing jackets. You still really want to stick to more neutral colors, although sometimes with dresses you'll see those splashes of colors as well. Dress shoes, and then you can also layer with sweaters or cardigans, which tend to not be considered formal, but they do look nice in a business casual setting, or those structured jackets and blazers. And just like the men, again, no jeans and no denim. So just another comparison here, some business casual versus professional. In this picture, you'll notice that the female did not tuck her shirt in. It's a little more optional for women, although I would recommend leaning towards tucking your shirt in. For men, it is definitely a must to tuck that in. You're also wearing the same shoes in both of these pictures because you should be wearing dress shoes in either case. And then just to help us out, Dr. Estes wanted to show what improper grooming looks like during the time of coronavirus when he was at home all the time and he decided to not cut his hair. So this is not what you want to do for your haircut, and we'll just leave it at that. So hopefully you guys have a better idea of how to dress professionally. I look forward to seeing all of you around campus, especially when we have guest speakers or career fairs. We're doing tours, we're meeting special people, or you're going on interviews. I really look forward to seeing how you guys dress and look wonderful and amazing in your professional attire.